What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of How to Win a Championship in Season 2 Simulator. F1 2020, my team. Don't know where that came out of. But anyway, here we are for the Chinese Grand Prix. Big episode. We've got potentially a couple of big upgrades on the horizon, and hopefully they'll go on the car in time for today's episode. In terms of the activities, Supplier HQ Tour, sponsor advertisement. Basically, we want all the dosh and we want all of the acclaim for both the team and the drivers, whatever it may be. I don't care. Whatever gets me acclaim, I'm happy with. Driver promotion, filming, and it is a toss-up between power team building and reaction training. I've decided to go down the path of power. Teammate is pretty good. I don't know if he needs to be any more OP than what he is, but we'll focus on the power, potentially, and do another upgrade in that area. So, major weight reduction upgrade, that'll hopefully go on the car. I didn't catch when that was going to go on. It might be just before the next episode, so the Dutch Grand Prix. We'll hopefully get that on, but heading into this episode, we've got some tasty developments on the way. Before that, we got 6.5 mil to spend. I think I'm going to go down the path of quality control for the chassis. Time and time again in Season 1, we were just getting too many upgrades, just knocked back through failures, and I'm hopefully going to make that a thing of the past in Season 2. In come the weekly resources. We did have a major front wing downforce upgrade, and we do get the major rear wing upgrade as well go on the car. So that is two major upgrades, front and rear, that have got on for the start of this episode, and I tell you, it's been absolutely massive. We have shot to the second best car on the grid. Mercedes, Ferrari, Williams, and basically most people in the upper midfield have not upgraded since the first race of the season. What is going on? They haven't hit their ceiling, so maybe they're saving towards something big at the midpoint, heading into maybe the European leg of the season. We'll have to wait and see, but practice one, it was a bit tricky. You can see pushing the limits in that first session. I'm running with, again, a crazy aggressive setup, and just touching that inside curb is a big no-no, and we paid the price for that. Actually, not too big of a price. We basically only lost the lap. Somehow didn't get any damage, really. As we look at the front wing, it was pretty much intact, apart from a little shark bite out of the front of it on the left-hand side. So otherwise, a relatively straightforward session if you exclude the excursion there. But we get P1 by 7/10. We did a full qualifying run, so we're always going to look a lot better in practice than what we will in qualifying. But, you know, being the second best car now, just a smidge ahead of Ferrari, means we could be challenging for podiums this weekend. It's going to be Ferrari v Marduk Motorsport, and I am all about that. So let's get into the weekend proper and see what the pace is like.
Okay, bear with us a few minutes. We're losing hydraulic pressure. There's a leak somewhere in the system. Sit tight for a bit.
Typical. Reliability being our downfall once again. That is something we're now going to take a bit of a focus on now that we've got the performance out of the car that we need. I now want to have a car that's reliable and that can go the duration of a season without having to take too many engine penalties or whatever else. Because at the moment it is quite unbalanced, and we're the worst team on the grid in terms of reliability, and those around us will just continue to work on their cars, and we can't have a car that's just like faltering after a couple of races in terms of like engine components. So that is something I want to focus on now, and now that we've got the performance, it's time to work on other things that need our attention. But anyway, qualifying, we got through the first part pretty easily. I say easily, I did manage to get out of there with just the one set of tyres. Still pretty close to the cutoff of getting knocked out in Q1, but like I said, one set of tyres, that is progress for me anyway. So we're able to push a little bit more in Q2. The banker time put me in P13 initially, and now we're running out again. right at the end of the session when the track is at its finest, and we're going to see if we can extract something special that can get us into Q3. You know, I'd be very embarrassed, very, very embarrassed indeed, if I had the second best car on paper and I couldn't get into the final part of qualifying. What kind of team boss, what kind of driver, what kind of organization would we have here if we were unable to muster that with the resources available to us? But 2.5 tenths, maybe 3 as we head into the hairpin there. And this is a lap which we certainly need to get into the next part of qualifying. Through to the final corner, 5th gear, nice rotation through there. The downforce of this car feels phenomenal. We go purple to the 3rd sector as well. And we clear the bar by 2 tenths to just squeeze in ahead of our teammate in P6. So not a bad outing there. For the first time this season, we are on the pace with George, so encouraging signs. It's taken me a few races to get to this level, a good car as well, but the setup feels really nice, and I'm able to run a low downforce setup and not really feel like I'm really compromising on anything, so it was pretty nice. Q3 though only had one set of tyres to use for that session, the new set that I got from the FIA. Unfortunately, the lap wasn't as good as my Q2 run, and it is P10. P6 for George, my teammate. 3 tenths shy of him, but it seems like for both of us, we're not at the same level of Ferrari, despite having a better car than them on paper. So it's a bit of a weird one. On previous games, you could be really close to people on the performance index and still be able to beat them. But on this game, I feel like you need to be better than people by some way in order to get the result. But let's hope that we're stronger in the race. We do have tyre wear upgrades that maybe other teams don't have. So race pace should be a lot better.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai.
Indeed we are, Crofty. I'm going to cut that intro very short because literally Anthony didn't say anything, and we stared at a safety car here for about 5 seconds, and then we didn't see any more cutscene stuff. But in terms of the rest of the grid, Nick De Vries had a grid penalty to start off this one, and that was it. So no real reliability issues to speak of for people up and down the grid. But here we are for the race of the Chinese Grand Prix. I think I'm going to go for a one-stop. I'm just toying with the idea. We're going to go to the personalized strategy, something I know is in the game and I sometimes forget. I picked it up again, and we're going to use personalized from now on in. It's the race program that you run in Friday practice, and that bases your tyre wear on that. So we're able to gain about 8 seconds by doing the one-stop and using the hards. 5 red lights, and off we go for the Chinese Grand Prix on the soft compound tyre. It looks like Sergio Perez got off to an absolute flyer there in the racing point. So let's see if we can follow him through. Maybe go for a cheeky dive up the inside of a couple of guys. You can always shortchange people up there. They don't really cover the inside all too much, and it's an easy way to nab some positions, not only in career mode, but online too. Very, very handy. There's a few corners around here which I really like utilizing certain driving techniques to get positions, particularly in online, and I'll show you that over the course of the race. It's the long, unwinding corner that you get to on the back straight, trying to hug the inside. That's a bit of contact between myself and Albon, and we've got some front wing damage on this opening lap. That is the last thing you want. I think is that the first time we've got damage this season, or this career mode series in general. That was very unfortunate. So we've been collected by Albon. I think we were running side by side by side, so 3 wide. Yeah, very smart, Ben. As you'll see on the thumbnail. Unfortunately, I didn't get any replay footage of that. You might see it in the highlights at the very end of the video. But yeah, 3 wide, and I got damage. I'm assuming that Albon got damage as well, and will potentially be limping this to the pit stop in about 5, 6, 7, 8 laps time. Who knows? Depending on the tyre wear, we'll try and stretch this as long as we can. Hopefully there's a safety car, because we're going to lose about 5 seconds by changing that front wing. So we know we've got the best boys in the pit lane in terms of pit crew, and for the first time they are going to be tested.
George is ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 1.0 seconds. They're on old softs. Their tyres are 1 lap old. We think they've got 2 stops remaining. The time last lap was at 1 minute 37.3.
For the first time, they're going to be tested how quickly they can change a wing. Just checking the status of George there. I wanted to know what strategy he was on for this race. He's doing a 2-stop. So I imagine he's going to lose out a lot of time with that. So even with our front wing change, we're going to lose 5 seconds. But overall, I still think the one stop is going to be faster than the two, and there should be some beneficial gain we can get out of this Grand Prix. But it just complicates matters a little bit as our pace at the start of this race is compromised. We're going to try and catch up to my teammate ahead. We'll be able to do so quite easily if he engages in a battle with someone in front of him. But for the time being, it doesn't look like that is the case as he makes an early stop here on lap 6. Pit window is now open for myself, and we'll be diving onto the hard compound tyres. Despite having understeer with less of a front wing, we're still getting that exit oversteer. That is a chronic handling characteristic of this car. I guess, no, it doesn't really speak much for the car. It's more the setups that I use, trying to be ultra aggressive. That spin that you saw in Friday practice, that can still happen in the race. I just need to be very smooth with the steering and not be too jittery with the steering, and be very mindful of the weight transfer through there. So that's how on edge we are. This is the levels I'm going to get performance. The car is near on a knife edge, and I've got to drive in a certain way to get the performance out of it without the car killing me, essentially. Back out onto the track, and we're in last place, but on hard compound tyres, and we don't need to make another stop for the rest of this Grand Prix. Albon follows me in on the very next lap, and he rejoins in P21 in a lot of traffic. But even though it looks bad now, and some people have made their first stops, there are some who haven't made their stops at all. And that includes Mick Schumacher, Matsushita, the Alfa Romeos, plus more, starting on the medium. So they'll be stopping in about 5 laps time. We get past Schumacher and Albon. That was pretty easy for us. Can we get Ocon into the hairpin? Not quite. He's boxed up behind Sergio Perez. This is going to be the fight for the points-paying positions, I would say. Need to cut through these guys, get ahead of them, and march on towards my teammate in order to fight for a top 5 in this race. 18 laps to go, and there's still one pit stop to play for the majority of the AI around us. Albon, I would imagine, is running to the end of the Grand Prix with myself. It's a shame that we just came together on that opening lap. We could have been on for, or I feel like we could still be on for a really good result, but the traffic that we've now subjected ourselves to with that front wing change it's a compounding problem, which doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. As we go around the outside of Albon, we will get that position. Better exit, nice drive, and that is P19 for the taking. We are slightly compromised through here. I want to run nice and smooth with the steering in order to not spin out, and trying to hold the tighter line makes life a little bit more difficult through there. It's 3 wide on the back straight now. De Vries and Matsushita. We're going to the outside here on the rookies, and we're going to see if we can take them to school here. Looks like we do so on the hard compound tyre, and we are now up in a P17. Verstappen only a few seconds up the road, so we may not be down and out of this Grand Prix just yet, as track position is now starting to come to us. A lot of people are making their final stops of the Grand Prix. I see a Ferrari in there. I see a Racing Point. It's not a Ferrari, it's an Alfa Romeo. It's Giovinazzi. I was getting a little bit ahead of myself. The Ferrari was faster than us in qualifying. There's no way they're going to be behind us after the issues that we've had so far. But 13 to go. We are now in the points. Latifi is out of the Grand Prix. Could that be a safety car, which we vitally need to get into the top paying positions in this Grand Prix? We can see Ocon having a little go at us into the third sector section. But that was a cheeky move because he knew that there was a yellow flag coming up. He would have had to give the place up anyway. We get up the inside of Sergio Perez. Good bout of slipstream and overtake there. Went a long way towards getting the position. We're absolutely racing through this Grand Prix. Sergio left the space and we are through. 2 more guys in the lane. That is Leclerc and Verstappen. No, it wasn't Verstappen. It was someone else. I'm having an absolute mare today. Absolute mare. Anyway, let's check on board with the battle up front. So you can see the Mercedes are running the 1-stop as well. George Russell on the mediums. He's doing a 2-stop, as we confirmed at the start of the Grand Prix. He makes his final stop of the day, and he actually emerges in pretty poor track position, down in like P15, I believe. Yeah, there he is. But on the freshest tyres in the field. on the medium. So he's going to have a whole bundle of pace. He's going to need to overtake a lot of guys to get up there. And surprisingly, a lot of people doing the one stop. I thought I was going to be in the minority today, but it looks like it is the most viable strategy. I can't believe the team.
Verstappen is ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 2.7 seconds. They're on old hards. Their tyres are 11 laps old. The time last lap was a 1 minute 33.2. You're gaining by 1/10 a lap.
1/10 a lap gained on Verstappen. This is going to be a big old grind to see if I can catch him for the rest of this Grand Prix. But I can't believe the team didn't suggest this as the default strategy at the start of the Grand Prix for not only myself, but George Russell as well. I feel like we've been screwed over massively here by not taking that, especially on George's side of the garage, because he was running in such an excellent position in this Grand Prix. We've got tyre wear upgrades for days on this car. There is no need for George to be running a two-stop. I'm absolutely furious because he's actually not going to get that track position back. He's still buried in the field. There he is, still behind Sebastian Vettel, running in P14 or 15 or whatever the hell it is. At the end of the day, it's going to be no points. He's stuck in a DRS train. It's an Alfa Romeo. What else? That Alfa Romeo is blocking a Ferrari, a Marduk Motorsport car, and something else. A Red Bull from getting points today. It's absolutely ridiculous. Last up of the Grand Prix, it's P5 for us. So far, Norris is catching. I was catching Sainz and Verstappen by a slender margin, but I couldn't keep up that consistency. I had to save a bit of fuel to get to the end of the Grand Prix. And now we're just trying to consolidate what we've got. If not for the front wing change and damage, I think we would have got a podium today. We would have been a lot further up the road. Our pace would have been a lot better. And overall, things just would have ran that much more smoothly. But Valtteri Bottas comes across the line to win the Chinese Grand Prix, setting the fastest lap of the race along the way. George Russell also had the fastest lap recently after he made his pit stop. But Valtteri went and spoiled the party. Lewis in P2, Verstappen third, Sainz, man of the match today. That's a football term. In P4, and for us today, it will be P5. At the end of the day, not a bad recovery, all things considered. We had no track position after the first stop.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
There we go. That is the Grand Prix. You know, when I started this episode and I saw that we became the second best team, I had much higher hopes for what this Grand Prix could have been. China is a circuit which is very favorable for the player. The AI tend to be very horrific, exiting that long snail section onto the back straight where you hug the inside. But yeah, didn't really go our way today. Can't always. We've had 26 episodes, and that's the first time we've had any kind of incident on the first lap. So I think I've been really lucky in many respects to last this long. But 3 wide on the first lap, it's bound to happen sometimes. Albon, Vettel, Russell, Ocon. That is some battle pack. And then you throw in Sergio Perez and Daniel Ricciardo. So P13 to 18 is just, wow, that is crazy, the amount of drivers in there. Charles Leclerc, P9 in that Grand Prix as well. Not a great showing for either of the Ferraris. Wow, that was very unexpected. But, yeah, a little bit of pace lacking there for where we stand on the performance index, and we didn't maximize that Grand Prix on my side, and especially on George's. He really should have been making the most of that track position that he had early on. It's a real shame. He could have got P3 if he went onto the hards. He was there. What a shame. We still have P3 in the constructors standings, which is, I guess, the main thing. If we can stay there for the rest of the season, then that's going to set us up really well for Season 3 with the mammoth budget that would come our way if we would stay there. But, guys, that has been the episode for today. I feel like I raced through that, but I included all the action, and that was it. I don't know. Kind of head scratching how we managed to fly through that episode so quickly. But if you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. We've got near on 5 million to spend in the next episode on facilities, and crucially, I didn't have any damage deductions. Again, So we're looking good as we head into Zandvoort, which is a circuit which is really going to suit our car now that we've gone down the rabbit hole of exploring everything that comes to downforce. I feel like we've potentially got the highest amount of downforce out of anyone in the field, potentially. Looking at the downforce department, we actually do have the best downforce department out of anyone. So heading into Zandvoort, which is full of high-speed corners, we're going to jack up all of the front wings and rear wings in terms of angle, and I tell you what, we're going to be generating, I don't know, what is something that generates an enormous amount of downforce? An F1 car. Yeah, that's what we're going to be. I think I was going to say something along the lines of we've got more wings than a jumbo jet or something. Yeah, we're going to be a jumbo jet next episode. Cool. Ruin the joke. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. Sorry about the video being a little late once again. I think tomorrow onwards I will be a little bit better with that. Today I was actually getting ahead on episodes so that I'm not like rushing to get a video out every single day. So hopefully from here on in it is a little bit better. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Progress is looking really good. And now let's work on other cars, other areas of the car which need our focus. Zandvoort. Let's do well. Let's get a podium. Let's get me and Georgie boy up there. And we'll make some magic happen. Until then, I'll see you next time.